the circular driveway just in front of the Smith house, Roswell, Georgia. We're panning around slowly toward the front of the Smith house. Which was built in 1845 by Archibald Smith. He and a group of planters from Darien County and McIntosh County in Georgia came up in 1838 to Roswell, Georgia to settle this area. And here Archibald Smith built this house in 1845. The house was lived in by successive generations of Smiths until around 1915 when it was shut up. In 1915, Miss Lizzie Smith, who was the last surviving daughter of Archibald Smith Sr., died, and her brother, Archie Smith, did not move into the house, but left the house in charge of a caretaker. And from 1915 to 1904, only a caretaker lived in the house. In 1940, when Archibald Smith's grandson, Arthur William Smith, married Mary Norvell, they moved into the house, opened it up, and upon Mary Smith's insistence, the porch was changed to its present configuration, which you see here with columns. It originally was a traditional southern farmhouse look about it. The newlyweds lived in the house from 1940 until the death finally of Mary Smith in 1981, when the house passed into the hands of Mr. and Mrs. James Skinner of Decatur, Georgia. I am the oldest Skinner boy, Lister Skinner, who's making this tape. On the front porch of the house, you see now my wife, Ramona Skinner. The purpose of this tape is to interview the helpmate of Aunt Mary and Arthur, as we call them, Miss Mamie Cotton. We wish to interview her about her memories of the house, and in the process add some of the details to the Archibald Smith legacy. Additions to the house that Aunt Mary and Arthur brought were these original gas lights from London that lined the driveway. They added other details to the house, in addition to raising the roof and raising the porch. They brought such details as these carriage lights from London and placed them, as you can see, opposite the front door of the Smith house. Added such details as those classical lintels. Cotton, whom we'll be talking to today, and the person asking a lot of the questions will be Arthur Smith, whom you see here, who's come up especially from Florida to make this tape. He's trying to say something. Speak a little loud.
Arthur Smith or what?
Arthur Smith Skinner. That was originally supposed to be your name. We, of course, changed it when we found out what those initials were going to be.
We first want to ask you about you. When you were born, where you were born, and when you came here.
They just call and tell you we're coming up at a certain time and we're going to be staying so long, and
That's right. They come up in the summer months when school was closed. And stay through those months, and then after that they just come like weekends and things like that.
What about the other help that they had? Like the caretaker was living out in the back? Was that about it? Anybody else?
No, that's all. she used to live there where Mr. Lackey used to live. After Mr. Lackey died, they got another caretaker. I don't remember what his name was, but he didn't live long. And his wife left him. And Miss, what was that lady's name? Miss Ellington. She lived there until they got another man to come and do the carekeeping, and she moved down in that little house down there where she lived when she died.
Did you know Arthur's brother, Archibald, Dr. Archibald?
Dr. Archibald Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he live here at any point? No?
No.
He died in 1947. So
He just visited.
He just visited.
He lived in Atlanta, but he'd come out here and visit, spend the weekend or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Did they have many visitors who would say, come and stay overnight, and you'd have to get ready for them or anything?
No.
Never entertained much?
No. She didn't believe in that.
Okay.
She didn't show the house off too much to any people.
Mm-mm.
Just occasional people that would just come in for an afternoon, close friends or
When
relatives.
she first came out here, she did that, but after that, she wouldn't even do that. She kept everything private.
Okay.
You never met Arthur's sister?
Maynard?
No, she had gone before he went. She had died before he and Miss Smith married.
Did he talk much about his family? I mean, that is to say, his father, grandfather, the people who used to live here. Did he ever say anything much about those people?
No, he never mentioned it.
Did they, Mamie, did they spend any time, like, going through the attic and trying to look into the old papers and books? Did they seem to care much about, you know, his grandfather and father and people? Did they try, for example, to make sure that they used some ancestors' furniture, or that this belonged to this person or this belonged to that person? Did they talk about that much?
I imagine they did, but I didn't hear them talk about it.
Yeah.
Because they knew about that, and some of the funny too, when they, after it was up here a while, came from Savannah, Georgia. His granddad and daddies.
You know about when that was?
Well, I'd say about a year or so after they moved out here.
Early 40s.
Was there much furniture at all in here before they brought that from Savannah?
Not too much.
Was that piano in there, for example?
Yeah, I think it was in
That piano was there?
All that big heavy stuff up in there.
What was it? And there wasn't any wallpaper. They put the wallpaper up after.
They put the wallpaper up later
What?
on.
Just when you walked into place for the first time, just not. How did you feel? Like, golly, this is kind of messed up and desolate.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
what?
yeah.
It didn't look like much inside.
No, it didn't look like much. It's that old plaster, plastic walls. And the house had been closed up so long till it didn't smell.
It smelled pretty
Musty
bad.
all the time.
Was the plaster falling off and everything?
No, it was in good shape.
It was in good shape.
Yeah, it's good shape.
Were the things hanging on the wall, mirrors, paintings, pictures, or just bare walls?
Just bare walls mostly. Because he had everything packed away. Things that you see was packed. Just like the furniture in Savannah, they say it had been in storage for 25 years.
The recently civilized city of Roswell has just had a little emergency of sort. Mamie, you were saying the furniture had been stored for 25 years?
That's what Miss Smith said. It had been 25 years when they got married. The truck brought it up from Savannah, Georgia.
Now, I seem to remember Dad saying he remembers the parlor in here, or some people call it the drawing room, piled high with furniture. Do you remember, like, furniture stacked up in there? So there was some furniture here.
And otherwise, they had somebody in the house part-time, just probably used one room, I think, to say maybe that's somewhere to cook or something like that.
Does the name C.P. Wallace ring a bell?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you know him?
No, I didn't know him, but I heard him speak about it. wanted it to stay like it was.
Dr. Smith wanted it to stay like it was.
Yeah.
He did.
So,
So you remember?
I think he objected to these boxwoods things being there.
really?
He did.
He wanted the place to stay like it was.
Well, now, why didn't he move in it instead of Arthur? Because Dr. Smith was an older brother. Looks like he'd have had the first chance to do with this what he wanted.
Well, I reckon he wasn't interested. He lived in Atlanta and he hadn't ever lived here, I reckon. And Miss Smith didn't either until he married Miss Smith.
Uh-huh. But so he didn't want it changed. Did he object to the roof being raised up with Dr. Smith?
I don't know about that. I don't think so.
Uh-huh.
But I remember him not wanting all these boxwoods and just step around like that the driveway and all that.
Is it fair to say, Mamie, that my Uncle Arthur and my Aunt Mary, that which one of them seemed to be the most active in deciding what was done?
Your Aunt Mary, of course, and Mr. Smith was kind of like his brother. He didn't care whether anything was changed or not. Just be old like it was.
So Mary pretty well said what she wanted?
You know, was it Aunt Mary's decision to put wallpaper in the house, do you know?
Did she pick out the wallpaper?
Of course, he'd go along with her with some things and some he wouldn't. But all the things that she did, she suggested it, I think, mostly.
Did she pick out the wallpaper herself, or did she hire anybody to help her?
I think she had a lady that came out here, I think, and moved over.
Helped her build it. Well, let's start.
And it was Aunt Mary that put the lamppost in. Arthur was had passed away by that time. Aunt Mary
I think so.
Well, why don't we walk around a little bit?
I've had a little trouble myself with these. Are you ready?
Yep.
This building here, where the furnace is, we've always known it as the pump house. Do you know why it might have been called the pump house?
No, I know.
Do you know about another name? I don't know myself why.
No, I never hear what the furnace is.
Uh-huh.
That other little house, they called it the wine house, didn't
The
they?
wine house? Is that what they called it?
Mhm.
Huh. I'm
Which
glad
house
to know
is
I
that.
wonder why.
The one just beyond
The white one?
storage
Yeah,
house.
the
Well,
storage house.
there is a wine press in there,
Well, that's what.
and stuff and bottles and such for making.
Yeah, that's what they call that.
And in
but
fact, they have wine in there as well. Some old bottles from the 1880s. Well, I'm glad to know that they called it that because
Wow.
that's an important feature.
Well, did they the building with the windows there? You don't recall what they call that at
No, I
all?
don't remember
Do you-
what
do
they
you
call that because. And I wonder if it was them. They had built they had coal furnace, for steam heat.
Uh-huh.
He could have put that building there. I don't know.
I see. Do you remember that building was there when you came?
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't remember. I just wondered if he didn't build it for the coal in the furnace.
Yeah.
Because there was no furnace here back in years ago.
Was the house open underneath here? These bricks, these rocks that are, it's sitting on here now. Was it just empty space underneath there? Could you crawl under it when you got here?
I don't think so.
That had already been bricked
I think
up.
it already been.
How about this little garden right here? Did they put these little boxwoods in here?
Oh yeah.
All that?
You did all this.
Do you remember what it looked like before? Was it just a bare patch
Just
of
a
ground?
bare-
Just a bare piece of ground.
What about the terrace garden that's down that way? Did they ever talk about that or?
No, I think that's just
That that spring house down there, did you ever have call to go down to that spring house? It's at the bottom of the hill down there.
No,
Did they ever talk about it or use it much?
no, they never did use it. I've heard them talk about it, but I never did go down there.
Did anybody go down there much?
Not that I know of. It's still down there?
Yeah.
Well, time I was going to see it.
In fact, somebody said, the mayor told us, Mamie, maybe Arthur, you haven't heard this either, but the mayor told us that an old-time inhabitant of Roswell says that there's an underground passage going from the spring house up here to the house, and that there's a point at which you can enter the house from underneath on a tunnel that runs from the spring house.
That's news to me.
I thought it would be. That's what Mayor Mabry said anyway. Okay, let's keep
Well,
on.
that would be worth digging.
That would be worth
A
it.
little creek branch or something run down through there, but I wondered where it come from because you'd have to start at Twixen Norcross Street.
Yeah,
So I don't know how, and it went on down through there. Now, it could have been coming from that spring.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's go on down. a little bit further.
There was an old black man that used to be laying rocks and things. Now, he could have fixed that thing for Mr. Smith after they came here there. By it being a furnace, because they wouldn't have had no use. I mean, they didn't have no furnaces back in them days. They what they used to live in.
But you don't know
No, I don't.
if that was there. Or
No,
not.
I
You just
don't.
don't remember.
And he laid rocks. It's mostly they got a rock. He couldn't move rocks.
You folks or something?
When you change that house, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you remember, Mamie, do you remember the guest house when it looked like that? When did Arthur remodel it? That's the way that guest house used to look.
Well, I tell you, when they remodeled it, do you remember was it Callaway or the people that Mr. and Miss Callaway, I believe was the name. No, I ain't not pronouncing that right. But anyway, he remodeled it for them. They retired. He was a school teacher, a principal or something. School up here where Mr. Skinner used to go. He had it remodeled for them to live in.
Do you know about when that was?
Well, it wasn't too long, not too long ago. Mr. Smith died.
Wait just a minute.
Go ahead.
It's a picture of the well here and the guest house there. But there's a building in the center here that's not there anymore. And I'm wondering if Mamie remembers that building, this little shed here between the well and the guest house. Do you remember that? Was that torn down before you showed up in 1940? And the old kitchen. Here's the picture of the old kitchen. Was it fixed up before you got here, or do you remember it looking
No,
like
they
that?
fixed it up.
You remember it looking like that?
No,
Do you remember what it was like inside?
no, I never did see inside.
You never went inside. Do you remember what kind of floor it had?
No, I don't.
Now, the little house down there, maybe you want to come out this way so you can see. That little house down there was not there originally.
No. It was there when I come here, but I think he had it built later years.
It was here when you came here?
Yeah, he was there when I came here. There's some people down there.
I thought I heard somebody say that it had been moved.
Something like that.
Do you, just looking at the side of the main house here. Do you, where you, bathroom area there and this porch. Do you remember what those might have been used for originally? Those two porch storage areas?
No, they just had.
Were they always pretty much like they are now?
Yeah, that's right.
And do you know what those holes are up there?
No, I've always wondered that. I've never found anybody that could tell me. Now those columns wasn't that like that. They just had the old-fashioned posters, you know, like I call them posters, just 2 befores or something on it. But he fixed those columns and things like that.
And looking back down to the so-called caretaker's house, did you remember Arthur ever saying anything about that building there? About when it was built or who lived there originally?
And who was the first one that was living there when you came?
Well, Mr. Lackey.
Mr. Lackey.
He was the first one that I remember being there. And he stayed there for years. You know, several years before he died. He stayed there till he died.
And then who came after him?
He's the one done the carpet work after Mr. Huggins died.
I see. And then who came after Mr. Lackey, do you remember?
No, I don't remember that man's name, but he wasn't able to do anything much, and he didn't stay there too long.
And who was the next one that did anything?
Mr. Ellington. Miss Ellington's husband. She had a husband when she came in here. And he was able to do things.
Then who followed Ellington?
Mr. Bennett.
Bennett.
You remember him, I know.
Do you remember any story about the chains that are hanging out that tree? Anybody say why that chain was there? And the rock wall along the front there, was that always there, or was that?
No, I think Kirk did that.
Kirk?
The black man, I think he did that. I know he laid some of them because I remember.
Do you know what was there originally?
Well, not anything. It was just the slope there. And otherwise, they had it kind of graded out when they had that cement poured in there.
What about the well? Did they ever use the water from it?
Mr. Lackey used it all the time when he was here. He didn't use any other water. But I don't think it's been used since he left.
Is the water still good?
It would be, I guess. It needs cleaning out, as they call it. People used to clean out the wells ever so often. But Mr. Lackey used it all the time. He wouldn't drink any other water.
Did Arthur and Aunt Mary drink out of it?
No,
They wouldn't do it?
They wouldn't use it.
So, in your knowledge, in the 40, 50 years that you've been here, the well has not been cleaned out in that period of time?
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember any stories about the corn crib over there?
No.
Where it came from, or
No,
how long
it's,
it's been?
well, I guess it's been there all a while. It's back when they used to farm where they said they had to put the corn in.
You know of, or was it pretty much left the way it was?
It's pretty much left the way it was. They done some on the garage and fixed it, you know. Sealed it inside and all that. I guess you know that.
The first building up there by the street, what did they call that, do you know?
Well, I reckon that's what they called, where they kept the horses and I don't know. I really don't know.
They call it a stable? Or
Yeah.
They called it a stable?
Or a barn?
Because they had to have, all of in that was barn.
So you think that they kept the horses in that first building up there? Do you know of any other buildings on this site that were torn down since you've been here? To what we were calling the wine house earlier, was that there originally?
Yeah, that's it.
Was there a name for that particular shed?
Wasn't sure.
Buildings that were down just below the guest house. Arthur built those?
I think so.
That was, you know, about when they built those?
Well, long when he first came here.
How do you know the things that they put in there? Where did they come from? You know? Where they moved them from?
No, I don't. But just things that they didn't want to use up here, I reckon. I really don't know what's down there.
Do you remember anything like coming down from the attic and going out there? Or from
I don't remember fooling around in the attic much, period.
No?
Miss Smith, yeah, right after Miss Smith died when they was, going through everything. I went up there then, I haven't been back since.
So you only got there once? Yeah. Not even check on what was making all that noise over your head?
I had an idea what it was. But I hadn't heard it lately.
So you say Arthur then didn't go up there much? Didn't spend nor did Aunt Mary? Aunt Mary spend up any time up there at all?
I don't think so. She had too much spend down here. She really worked with this part down here.
Well, Mamie, in that attic is stuff that goes back a couple of generations, to Archibald Smith himself. It's got a lot of historic value and so on. But as far as you remember, they didn't spend much time up there or talk about it much or talk about wanting to do anything with it?
No. In fact, I didn't know it was all up there until after she died. She never did have me. I never did do much for Miss Smith, but just do the cooking. She wouldn't even let me have to clean up every time.
Through this way at all, do you remember? Coming around the kitchen this way, do you recall? Ever?
Oh, yeah.
There was, this way. Come up here. That was pretty much all I wanted to ask, because I've seen pictures where it looked like there was a driveway coming through here, and I didn't know if they ran their carriages this way at any point. The lions, what about the lions, maybe? Do you know where they came from, those two lions?
Lions.
Oh, do you? The...
Oh, I don't know. She got them from somebody. Seemed to me like I heard Mr. Wood say that he got them for.
Huh.
I don't know.
Arthur didn't get them? Aunt Mary did? Okay, maybe in here in the main hallway, if you could, just like we were doing a few moments ago on the front porch, if you could recall the way the hallway looked when you first arrived here in about 1940, 41. What's different? What's changed? Furniture, wallpaper, rugs? How did it used to be?
Well, there wasn't any rugs.
No rugs at all?
There wasn't any rugs.
And the wallpaper?
No, she had this wallpaper put up later.
What, do you know about when that was put up?
Well, I tell you, they were slow working. I imagine it was several years. Probably out of the 40s, I imagine. Because they were slow about getting things fixed like she wanted it.
And what color were the walls?
White.
All the walls in all the rooms were white. And the baseboards and the doorways, to your recollection, were they white too?
Yeah.
What about the furniture in here? Do you recall what was here originally?
No, I don't think there's any furniture unless the big pieces.
The big piece? This piece here?
Yeah.
Was here all the time, as far as you can recall? Right here where it is right now?
And of course the sofa she had them did over.
That's all the upholstery is
chairs, all that was did over.
The whole house, all the upholstery is new to your recollection. And the pictures on the wall, do you remember where they came from? These
different places. She just pulled them out and did them.
Did she buy these or did
No, they were original.
They were here?
I think so.
Was the mirror hanging on the wall? Do you remember?
No.
What about that clock down there at the end? Do you know anything about that clock?
No, but it's original, but I don't think it was hanging there.
You remember where it was hanging? You remember? The banister on the stair over there, has that always been that way? Was this lamp hanging here all the time?
don't think so.
No, they added that?
Yeah, yeah. So back before she came here, it was on kerosene.
Oh, kerosene.
Yeah.
Was the house electrified when you arrived here in 1940? It was not
She
electrified.
had it did. I mean, they hadn't had electricity in Rome many years before they came out here.
But when you first came here, there was no electricity?
Yeah, he had it electric
Oh,
when he come out here.
all these lamps that we see here, were they original, or did they buy those lamps?
Yeah, they're original, most of them, I'm sure, and they had them fixed. She had them fixed for electricity, but they were kerosene lamps.
All of them?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anything else particular about the pictures or prints? Does any of them ring a bell? Do you know who painted this one here, for example?
No.
No. Was that picture of Robert E. Lee always hanging down there at the other end, or did Arthur put that one?
They put it there.
They put it there?
It's full of different things.
You were pointing to the storage closet under the stairs?
Yeah.
And that was always a storage closet?
Yeah, it looks like it. It's got shelves, and you don't have room for anything but storage. You can't hardly get back in there.
Did they tell you to use that to keep things in?
You know?
The rugs, did they buy these rugs, or were the rugs here? Did they move them around, or did they buy them?
They must have bought them.
Okay, Mamie, what's this room called? What do you call this room? Where we're on?
Well, I guess back in them days they called them parlors.
Parlor. Is that
Now they call them living room.
Okay. What did Aunt Mary and our Uncle Arthur call it? Do you know?
She said the living room.
The living room. Is this room pretty much like you remember it all? I mean, since 1940? Has it changed much?
No, it's because she had, like I said, she had all this there over here. I think that piano was probably on the same was in here. And all this other stuff she had to get over and put in here.
It was here, but just done over, reupholstered? What about that picture over the mantel there? Was it always there?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
That picture, by the way, is called The Death of the Captain. And it's one of the burial of the captain, I'm sorry, the burial of the captain, and it's one of the most, you know, it's, the more famous title is The Burial of the Captain, and it's one of the most famous of Civil War paintings. And I just yesterday met the man who owns that painting, and we'll talk about that a little later, perhaps.
Was the mantle always white to your recollection, or was it a different color?
I don't remember about that.
And the rugs that were used?
No, she had these rugs put in here.
What about that secretary down in the corner? Was that always there?
I don't know, I don't think so.
And the curtains there, were
Well,
they?
she had these pretty fixed.
She had those fixed, so they're basically new since 1940, you think?
Oh, yeah.
But I've heard stories where the gold trim at the top, that Arthur found that in the attic. Do you remember any
I
story?
don't remember that, but it must have did because I hadn't seen it in a whole lot.
What about the mirror here? Do you know anything about that mirror?
No, I don't.
Is there any other piece of furniture or picture on the wall that you know anything particular about where it came from, or if it's been added to the room since 19?
I think all the pictures was added.
All the pictures were added. Did Uncle Arthur or Aunt Mary ever talk about this piano? Whose it was, or who played it?
No, but I think it could have been a DeArce. You know, I think she's the one that lived here after the...
This engraving in the parlor or living room is one of the most famous of all Civil War paintings. It's entitled The Burial of the Captain, and it has to do with the burial of a Civil War soldier, a Southern soldier, far from home. The family who owns the estate has gotten permission from the Yankees to bury the Civil War soldier there. And the moral of the painting is that if you die in another part of the South, Southern women will take care of you. And Arthur will comment on the appropriateness of this particular painting to be in this particular house, in this particular parlor.
Well, the appropriateness is that the eldest son of the Smith family at the time of the Civil War, and whose name was William, died at the end of the war. Actually, in fact, just after the war was over, he died in Raleigh, North Carolina. But before he died, he was cared for by another family, in particular the mother and sisters of the Mason family in Raleigh, North Carolina. But he died in July of 1865, far from home, and none of his relatives could come visit. And I think the appropriate dining room here, and again, Mamie, I'd like, if you can possibly recall what you remember of this room originally, as you can back to 1940, how it was different, what was here, and what wasn't here, wasn't brought in. Possibly remember different pieces, walls and stuff.
Well, I don't remember about these other pieces, but I remember this table was brought in.
This table was brought in?
Yeah.
Was it in that shipment from Savannah, or?
Yeah, I think it's 3 or 4 pieces of it.
But it was brought in sometime, maybe from Savannah.
Yes.
What about the sideboards and things? Were those always here?
I think so.
They were here. Were they right where they are now, you think? As far as
I don't remember, but I think you were. Yeah.
Of course, the wallpaper has been added, and the curtains have been added.
Yeah.
The chandelier was it added too?
Oh yeah, she bought that.
She bought that. Was there another fixture there before, or was there something hanging there before? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I don't imagine it was.
Was this mirror always above the fireplace that you can recall?
No, she had it put up.
She had it put up there. Was it original to the house and just put up, or did she buy it?
I think so.
It was original to the house.
Mm-hmm.
The mantle, does you recall, was that always white?
Well, I remember.
Was this fireplace furniture always there, do you remember?
Yeah, I think so.
The rug was brought in, was there another
Yeah,
cover?
she put this rug on.
Was there another covering on the floor?
I don't think so.
Was it just a bare floor? Just a bare floor. Do you remember anything else about the room, how it's changed?
No, I think so.
What about the silverware and things like that? That when they opened the house up, did they tell you to use what was here, or did they buy this stuff or bring it from somewhere else for you to use? All the silverware, forks, knives, serving plates.
Well, there's a lot of silverware and dishes and all that here, but the ones we use, she brought them here from her kitchen in town. And she bought the utensils and things for the kitchen. But there was a lot of silverware that I don't think she ever got out the bank. It was stored in the bank and stayed in there. So since she done did, I guess it's got out since then.
Some of it I think is still there. But we're going to have to check on that. I don't want to lose it in the bank.
I don't know. I wonder why it's not got out. Did she didn't have a wheel on it?
No, it's some of it I think is just still in the vault, but most of it.
It's back in there.
Most of it.
I just heard her say that, about things like that being in there.
As a word of explanation for anyone viewing this particular tape, the dining room is in disarray because this has become a kind of an archival laboratory for all the books and papers that have been pulled from the attic in various places to sort through. So obviously the dining room did not look like this,
No.
nor smell like this.
It used to look good.
Yeah.
All that silverware was clean.
Did you polish it yourself?
I did some of it. My son did some of it.
Yeah.
But it was that color when she come here, though.
Really?
And when she said clean it, I thought, well, now, what kind of clean will that be? But it's easy to clean.
I've always wondered about this doggy doorstop. Do you remember this all the time? Was it always been here? Has it always been at this particular door, keeping that door open?
Right.
Did they ever say anything about this? You've got a little collar.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
It is heavy to bring it out of the house.
Yeah.
in terms of your using this room with this silverware and so on, you say that Mrs. Smith didn't entertain too many people other than just the Skinners. My brother Wirt and I would come in here, and we always would talk about your wonderful biscuits. But except for having to fix lunch for us on Sundays and so on, did they have many other people come to visit?
No, definitely no.
Definitely no.
Once she had a reception, I reckon you call it, when one of the nieces got married. And then she had one when the preacher, her pastor's, I think it was his daughter. Seemed like she had something for that. Ms. Hubert come up from over with it. That's the only thing I remember.
That big reception was for me, Mamie. When I got married, she had it here in 1961.
Yeah.
And she had it catered. In fact, it was probably the biggest thing that was ever
Yeah, it was.
ever done
It's
here.
about the only time that living back there has ever been used. That's when that happened.
I believe there was another reception. We got
Yeah, it was-
photographs of an earlier reception.
Oh, really?
I think it was two
In
more.
fact, it was because there's a different chandelier hanging here.
Oh, really?
It must have been significantly earlier
Mhm.
than the 40s. Here, looking at the other end of the picture of Robert E. Lee, you say you don't remember that was there originally?
No, I don't.
No. Do you remember when they put it up or who put it up?
They put it up when they put up all these other pictures on there.
Do you know where they got it from?
No, sure don't.
Did they ever say anything about it?
No, I don't know what was that.
Always thought of this as the library. Is that the way you've always thought of this room, as the library?
That's what she always called it.
It's always, they always had these books here on the shelves here as far as you.
The books was here, but he built some shelves and had them, and put them there.
Arthur put the shelves up.
Yeah, he built shelves.
Where were the books kept then?
Well, I guess they just pulled them out from different places, you know. I don't remember that, but I remember the shelves being built and books put there.
So like in the early 1940s, the shelves were put up.
It's later, I guess.
Later than that? Were there
Just
other?
like I said, they was slow doing, getting things done.
Were there other bookcases around that they used to keep books in? What about the fireplaces? Did they ever burn fires or
No.
no? They never did. Do you know why? Were they just concerned about safety?
No, I don't know why she didn't. I guess she was afraid of smoking in the house.
And was that picture always over the mantle, the one of Daniel Webster there?
I don't remember, but I imagine it was.
This clock, do you remember that clock from way back?
Yeah.
And the clock there on the secretary, was that always there?
Yeah, that's always been here.
These pieces are fairly recent though, aren't they?
I think so.
I seem to remember Aunt Mary brought those back from Europe at some point.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about those pictures there? The gold frame?
No, I don't.
They seem real old.
Yeah.
Do you remember, were they hanging there originally?
No, I don't think so. See, they're old and they had them stored away. Like I said, he stored everything away. And they just unpacked it and they come up and placed them. Most all of it come from, it was here, but it wasn't where you could see it.
Do you remember where it was? It up in the attic? Did they bring it down from the attic, or was
Just
it
different storage in different rooms.
different? Tell us about when they unloaded that stuff from Savannah. What it looked like when they were bringing it in.
Well, some of it was falling apart.
Do you remember anything?
It was old and dried out, you know, and everything. I remember some of the pieces they had to, look for them to keep them together.
Do you remember any particular pieces that came off that truck that you can point
No, I
to?
don't remember that. It's like I said, she had it all did over, you see, and I can't tell what was what.
What about all the crockery up there on the top of the bookshelves? Do you,
That was original.
that was original? Well, obviously wasn't there since the bookshelves.
No,
weren't
they
there.
wasn't there. It's like I said, it was unpacked.
But that was here at this house, not in Savannah.
Well, I don't know about that. I think it's somebody comes from somewhere.
Secretary always there?
I think so.
It was always there. Did Arthur use it as a secretary, or is it just,
You know, it just,
it's just a place to put something on top of?
I think this here used to be the flour mill bin. She had it bit over. I remember it.
Where, was it always there?
No, it wasn't here. I mean, I don't know where she got it from. It used to be there behind that door. Mr. Skinner had it put over here. I think this part of, well, this one that was brought out from somewhere. It was here, but I don't know where it was.
It almost looks modern.
No, it don't. We unpacked things we found sewing that the women, where they put it down and left the needle in the till.
And
And
he
he
saved
just
it.
packed it away like that.
So he never threw anything away to your
Never threw anything. Well, it looked like you can tell that by. No, I never seen a thing.
Didn't throw any paper away either? No books or letters that you know of? He always would just
They
put it
saved
away.
everything. Everything. I remember one time she was so tired and I was too, unpacking and fooling with that old stuff. I called it old trash. And I told her, I said, Miss Smith, we could save a lot of work to throw this trash away.
What was
That night she told Mr. Smith about it. What I said about throwing the trash away.
And what did he say?
He just shook his head. Cody knew I didn't know what I was talking about.
Mamie, we know Aunt Mary pretty well. She pretty hard to work for sometimes?
Yeah, in a way. In a way she was. And after I learned a while,
Yeah.
I just went along with her.
Yeah.
Just like I said, I didn't ever do anything until late years, but come in that door, went in that kitchen. It wasn't allowed anywhere else.
Yeah. That's good. Did you had to answer more to her than to Arthur, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was an easygoing person. He didn't have much to say.
Something that
Good to get along with.
You see who's named after him over here.
That's where he is.
occurs to me that we were talking about earlier that I don't think was taped about the parlor in there, or the so-called parlor, that Aunt Mary hardly ever went in there? Or
Never went. No, she went to dusk. Kept the door closed.
The door was closed. Do you know why that was?
Well, I said she just thought it was too good to use. Oh, I know.
And she didn't want anybody else going in there either.
If she had company, she brought them in here.
Not even to look in the parlor. Yeah.
You care about looking at the furniture. It's never been
Always
used.
kept the blinds closed too.
Yep.
She always shut up. Just
Shut up. Oh, shut up.
say that again.
She had she was a nice person, but she had a mind built up of her own. She didn't let nobody tell her anything.
We know we got the same blood.
Yeah.
You say they never talked much about the Archibald Smith that used to live here
No.
before. Did Aunt Mary and Arthur talk about it amongst themselves at all?
They probably did. It's like I said, I think the last person that lived in the family here was his aunt. They called her
Lizzie.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard any stories about Lizzie? People in town talking
No more. They said she was a good-looking woman, had curly hair. They said she had curls, baby doll curls hanging down on her shoulders. Drove a horse and buggy.
What about in town, around town, and where you go, and what do people generally say about the Smiths and how they were and how they were to get along with in town, going back as far as you can remember?
Well, just tell you the truth about it, I don't deal with people that knew them.
Yeah, right.
It's not many old people here at my age.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
But I do remember speaking about Aunt Lizzie.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they called her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember talking about any of the other, like Lizzie's sister or brothers?
Mm-mm.
No?
Did you have any?
Yeah.
Yeah. One named Helen.
Yeah,
named Helen.
I said anything about them.
Lizzie was the last one.
And she
died-
never was married, was she?
No.
She died in 1915. Helen, her sister, died 1897. But then Archie, who was Arthur's father, lived till 1923, and he came up here as late as the 1920s, early 20s. And then of course there was William too.
I wonder what year she died.
She-
Elizabeth.
1915.
15.
Miss Lizzie. And it was after then, 1915, that Archie shut the place up and had it pretty well shut up till 1940 when Arthur and Mary came.
Yeah.
And you don't remember when you were a girl or anything, did people come over here, in those years, or people in town?
No, because I didn't live here then.
Yeah.
I didn't come here till last.
Yeah.
I was about 20 years old when I came to Roswell.
Uh-huh.
I was looking out for her.
Do you know of any people who would come down here to work from time to time before you came here? Do any kind of work for the Smiths?
No. Sure don't, except Huggins, I said, was the carpenter.
Hey, we're in the kitchen now. Now, maybe was this always a kitchen? Do you know?
Mm-mm. Look at this bill.
Yeah, this building. So you don't remember the way it was when you first?
No, I don't. We had this bill when I came here.
And the windows were
It was just one big room.
one big room.
Because they had this fixed and had that for the breakfast room and the pantry back there.
And the windows, they had an extra
Yeah, they had the windows fixed.
There was only one window there before, now there's two. So you don't remember any furniture in here at all?
No.
Don't know what else to say about this. It says no, we don't know much about it.
The cabinets came from Sears Roebuck, you said?
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
She believed in Sears Roebuck.
Did they eat breakfast down here? Is it breakfast?
Yeah, they had their breakfast every morning.
Every morning, right there.
Mr. Smith sit there, she sit there.
Did you come fix breakfast for them too?
But they had a different table there. When they had the breakfast, they had the one of them drop leaf tables.
Yeah,
Mr. Skinner
right.
moved it out.
Right.
And, yeah, I'd come and fix breakfast every morning, and he'd leave here at 7 o'clock going to Atlanta to work. And after he had his heart attack, he drove back and forth, and after he had his heart attack, he wasn't supposed to drive. He catch the bus right up there at 7 o'clock. Have his breakfast every morning at 7 o'clock. Be up there to catch that bus at 7 o'clock.
Did you stay here all day when you cooked?
After I got breakfast, I left.
But you come back for dinner or what?
At night, come back at night, fix dinner for the time he got home. He get up every morning, eat honey every morning, he sit on the table.
Honey.
2 eggs, 2 slices of bacon, about 2 biscuits with that, and about 2 with honey and butter.
No coffee?
Oh yeah, 2 cups of that.
Orange juice?
That's what they had every morning.
Both of them?
Okay.
Every morning? Nothing on Sunday
But
special?
later years, though, she stopped, she wouldn't eat breakfast much. But he eat that every morning. He bought honey by the cases.
This is a familiar sound to us all, Mamie. Excuse me. You said these dinner chimes were always here since you remember?
Yes, I remember.
Huh. And that lamp right above, was that always there too?
It was kerosene.
It was
I guess you could
kerosene.
tell that.
Yeah. So every time you'd fix dinner, you'd ring the bell and people would come running.
For those biscuits. Okay, y'all going upstairs.
Hey, I hear stories? There used to be a clock here. Do you remember clocks standing up here, grandfather clock?
No, I don't remember, but I heard her speak about it.
Yeah.
And then she said, when the Yankees come through here, they shot the inside of it out. But I don't know what she ever did with the clock. I think she said it to have it fixed and never did get it back. She said it didn't have the inside in.
For people that didn't throw anything away, it's strange that there'd be stories about a clock with no clock.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees came in this house?
Well, I've heard stories that the Yankees, the story I remember is that the Yankees took the workings out of the clock.
They came in the house. There are letters saying they did?
No, there's nothing in correspondence. I'm talking about family hearsay. You know, stories that we've heard since we were growing up. I'm not talking about anything I've read in letters. Let's get some lights.
These ceilings don't work. I mean, it is when you burn them.
Any bulbs here work or not? These don't work.
I don't think these got any.
No bulbs. Okay, again, this hallway here, just like we've been in every other room, do you remember what it was like when you first came?
No, I sure don't. But I imagine it's just like everything else. You just had to
Just new wallpaper, new pictures?
do everything. Of course, they had the bathroom built. But it was built for our night, I think. Remember, I can't.
That makes sense. Do you know any stories? There's a hole in the floor under this couch. Do you know anything about that?
I know it's under there, but I don't know what.
Nobody ever said anything about why that was there?
Yeah.
And these prints, these pictures, do you know if they bought them or did they find them?
I think they found them just out of home.
And the furniture here, was this piece always here, do you remember?
I don't think so. I think that must be brought in.
And the couch maybe was brought in too?
Yeah, it was done.
So what about that particular piece here in the corner?
I don't remember. I believe that was in here.
I think that was here. At the risk of seeming like broken record, I'm going to ask you the same question again. Well, how has this room changed since 1940? Do you remember what it was like when you first came?
No, I don't remember because she pretty well had it fixed up before I got up here. Of course, some old big pieces of furniture is original. They got that load.
That wardrobe there's always been there here.
Mhm.
And this dresser here's always been here.
Yeah.
And that bed's always been there.
Such as that.
I remember the
So
story.
she had that laid on.
Uh-huh.
There used to be a drop leaf table there. She had in there all the time. Right there.
There used to be a drop leaf table here?
Yep. Last Miss Skinner moved it on with us in the house. I keep some of you.
What about this rocking chair? Any stories about it?
I believe that come from Daddy's house. I believe. I don't remember.
I think he brought it back. I think it came from here.
Oh, he did.
And it was indicated for a while and it got brought back.
Yeah, I know it hasn't been.
The reason I think that my dad thought to bring it back, I might be wrong. I think that my dad said that our Uncle Arthur said that he remembered his grandfather rocking it.
That's kind of had back then.
And so he wanted to
Right
bring it back
back.
for that.
I know it.
You mean that's Archibald Smith Sr.?
I think. I have to double check with Dad on that, but I believe that Dad said that he remembered Archibald, that is to say, the original Archibald who built this house, rocking in this chair. He remembers seeing
That's kind of had back then, and I know it wasn't here at one time, and then I only once it back. I think he moved this chair. This chair used to sit right there. He put this chair over there and put that one over there.
Do you remember anything about anything said about the pictures here? These small. You know the one on the right. That's Arthur.
No, I didn't.
Before he got bald.
Well, you Betty that long hair too.
Yeah.
I think they all when I was here, they had pretty hair. Pretty hair.
What about this fainting couch here? Was that always there?
Yeah, but she had it did over.
You call that a fainting couch?
I thought isn't that what you call it?
I don't know.
What do you call it? What would you call it?
Lounging chair.
Fainting lounge?
Nobody's never been on it.
Did they ever say anything about these utensils here?
No, but they did. Comes from somewhere, but it comes from some guy, but
They didn't use them like they didn't have you fill them up with water or anything, did they? It's just decoration.
no, they used them back in the days when they didn't have bathrooms.
The fireplace, as far as you know, is yours, Mamie. Do you remember that always being there?
Yeah, I think so. With all these heavy pieces was in here.
Okay, we're now in the upstairs northeast corner bedroom. Mamie, do you remember, did this room ever have any specific name or association with a particular person? Did they just call it the bedroom? Or how did they call it? Do you remember?
Well, I guess she called it bedroom, but she never had nothing in here, just stuff she wanted to store. She never used this room.
Nobody ever slept here? No company, no guests, no family, no mother? Did they ever say anything about the room? Whoever used to sleep here?
Yeah.
Was this room pretty much as we see it now when you first arrived, or has it changed?
Well, it's just the wallpaper and the pictures put on the wall. And as I said, she didn't ever use it. And then this stuff that she wasn't using, she wanted to store, she piled it in there.
Was this bed always here? And this storage chest?
That's a chest. That's what they had. A meal chest thing too.
Was it always here? Is it always
Yeah,
here?
it's always been here.
And this chest of drawers, is it always here as far as you can recall?
As far as I know.
That mirror wasn't always hanging, or was it here?
I don't think so. Tell you the truth about it, Mr. Skinner moved that from there over there. This used to be over there.
Oh, really? Huh.
And when he moved there, you know, he moved that out on the porch up here.
The wardrobe here in the corner.
Here, last year, he pulled that corner.
Okay, it used to be in the porch storage downstairs.
Yeah.
One of the storerooms off the porch.
That's right. And this piece of furniture used to be over there. And that was here.
Huh.
He did that last year too. I forgot, maybe been about 2 years since he did it.
Well, I think he had this restored. I think the same person that did some restoration for Jimmy Carter when he was in the White House cleaned this piece up.
Yeah, I remember that. And then they put it, he put it up here, and then that man come and cleaned it up.
Did they ever say anything about the toys in the house? Did you know anything about where these came from? Was this up in the attic? Did they bring it down? Do you remember? What about this piece here? Do you remember?
That's something that was used in the kitchen, but I don't know what they call it. Safe, I guess.
Pie safe?
Oops.
Safe.
It was in
Stored food, you know, in it.
But it's always been up here, or was
Oh,
it
yeah, it's
in
always-
the kitchen
It's
originally?
been down up here.
What about that sewing machine? Did they ever say that this was so-and-so sewing machine, so to speak?
No, they never did.
Did she sew? Did she use that?
I think she did, what little sewing she did. It could have been hers, I don't know.
I think it's too old for her.
She, yeah, it's an old machine, and this here is, I think she must have had it fixed with electricity. This is what to put it on there for. I don't know how it done it, what she got it, but that's what it was used.
For anyone viewing this video, this particular wall here might look peculiar. This is the back of the bathroom. So this is an addition that was put in around 1940s. It wasn't out here, but necessity made it.
And this is where you get in the fixtures go wrong.
That is where I found the diary of Henry Merrill,
This door here.
right in that drawer. And do you recall, that's right where I found it, right here. Do you recall, there was a pistol in there too, that Arthur and Aunt Mary used this to, you know, put things in regularly, or was this just never opened?
Never opened for my knowledge.
Never opened much.
They probably use it, but I didn't know anything about it.
The name Henry Merrill means anything to you?
Didn't mean anything to me when I.
We were in the bedroom that's directly opposite what we now refer to as the master bedroom, the large bedroom. Did this have a particular name that you recall, or did they call it anything like a guest bedroom?
Yes, bedroom.
They called it a guest bedroom?
Yeah.
They didn't call it a company room or anything? Guest bedroom. But they didn't have
They
any
probably
guests.
called it company back years ago, but in Miss Smith's days, they just said she was in the company.
But they didn't have any guests that stayed overnight, so.
Well, when Miss Hewitt come up here, she stayed in there.
Oh, I see, okay. So
And
they
it seemed like two of my nieces one time come up here to spend the night. They asked her, she asked them up here once, and they said, well, we can't come unless you let us bring the dog.
Oh, no.
So she decided she'd let them bring the dog. And when they went to bed with the dog. So they didn't get back no more.
No, they didn't go there.
She like to die. So they didn't ever be back no more because the dog had to speak to them.
Was this bed always here? Do you recall this?
I don't remember what it was. It looked like it might have been.
And any other particular?
And see all those mattresses things. You know, I said they had the stuff just stored up. They had those mattresses made for all those beds. Cotton mattresses.
Any other particular pieces of furniture you remember being here originally?
No.
Was that chest of drawers here always
It
there?
looked like it might have been.
Might have been. And this one here, this chest of drawers?
That
But
just
you
like
see-
one in the room next
See,
door.
she'd have it made up, she'd have it did over, you know. To read it looks new because some of it was looking white and everything else had been said so long without being used. It didn't take much to clean it up.
This used to be a kerosene lamp right here.
Yeah.
Did they get those, do you know where all those lamps came from that they had turned into electric lights? Did they come from this house or did they bring them in?
Well, they come from the family. They was, like I said, the stuff they brought from Savannah, I imagine, had some lamps in there. You know, in unpacking. And she had them made into electric. We used to call them Rio lamps. I don't know why, but I remember they said, do you have a real lamp? Them supposed to have been the real nice lamps back in the day.
What about this? Oops.
Yeah, that's
This piece here. Do you remember, was this?
Amy, this is your room. How long's it been your room?
Oh, well, it just started right after Miss Smith. Let's see, what was it?
Late 70s? Middle, late 70s?
Well, maybe a little longer than that. I used to come here and spend the night. After Miss Ellington got disabled to come. She used to stay.
Was, before you started staying in this room, did it have an identity, a particular
Just
name?
like this.
But was it called anything, a guest bedroom or so-and-so's room?
Just the bedroom. Didn't have a name.
Was this bed always here?
Yep.
Do you know, was it somebody's bed in particular? Did it have a particular name
No,
associated?
maybe yes, maybe
It's on the
I
north,
wasn't
on the
there.
north side of the house where you think you might get the coldest wind, and yet there's no fireplace.
I don't know why, but you see when the right there's a little closet, and on this room it's a closet, and then the fireplace is between it. So I reckon they didn't have no room in that
Yeah.
space particular.
So it seemed like they could have designed it so that they had
Yeah.
a fireplace on both sides like they do downstairs between the parlor and the library. They got fireplace on both
I
sides.
always wondered that, but I can't figure it out why they didn't have one.
Most of the furniture in this room matches. That means that they must have bought it, or the original Smiths had it in here because they imagined it would always stay together.
Yeah.
But when you came here, it was not used as a bedroom, right? Just were there other things in here like boxes or storehouse? Was it
No,
like?
it was just, when I discovered it, it was just like this.
I've heard it said that this particular furniture was originally Dr. Archibald Smith, but I don't know that for a fact. That's what Dad has said.
Well, since I come to think, when he come to spend the night, he did sleep in this room.
Okay, so maybe at least by that association, we would think
Yeah,
of it.
he did stay in this room. And all the other guests that she had always slept in there, which was very few.
What about that chamber pot arrangement over there? Was that always there?
Mamie, when Miss Smith got sick, was it then that she asked you to come and more or less stay more with her than you've been doing?
No, I came before she got sick. And otherwise, after Mr. Smith died, she always got Miss Ellison to come up here and spend the night with her.
I see.
She'd stay here until 10 o'clock at night. And then Miss Ellison would come and spend the night with her. After Miss Addington got disabled to come up here, then she asked me to come. I would come over here, I'd leave home sometime about 10 o'clock. But when she began to get feeble and, see, she didn't go to bed till late. She'd call me at 10 o'clock to come on, let's go to bed. So later years, she'd call me about 9 o'clock and tell me to come. Because she done got, ready to go to bed because she didn't feel good. And I've been spending the night ever since then. But after she went to bed, I stayed day and night.
And she'd call on you to do almost anything then, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And before she got sick, the last 2-3 years she lived, as interested as she was in the house, that never was cleaning up. She didn't think nobody could do nothing but her. She lost all interest in it. She didn't care whether it was clean or not. It didn't make her no difference. But she never did on to being sick to the last. She said, I'm not sick.
she didn't want to go to the hospital, did she?
She didn't go either.
Didn't want a doctor to come.
They was fixing to get her to the hospital just before she died. Mr. Skinner called doctor. Doctors won't come to the house, but there happened to be a doctor over here, and the laddie got him to come over. Told him about him, and he come over here. And she'd been dying all day. And he went in there and looked at her and went back downstairs and went to make arrangements to take her north side. He died while he was trying to get over it.
You think she knew she was going to the hospital?
No, she didn't know anything.
She didn't know.
But he was just gonna get her over there. And I knew she didn't want to go, and I was just, I was on medals because I didn't want her to go because she didn't want to go, and she done been here that long. And I knew she was dying. I said, why take her to the hospital? So while he was down there getting ready to, they'd already made arrangements to come out here. I come back up here and looked at her. And then I told him, went back downstairs and I told him, no, he asked Mr. Skinner, could he come back up here and look at her? And I knew when I went back down there, she was dying. So when he got back up there, she was dead. And when I said, she gone, ain't she? He said to start with, he kept feeling her pulse and things. And he said, yeah. And when he said, yeah, well, I said, well, I'm so glad. He looked at me, but I was just so glad that she died before they got her in that wagon. Because that was all she preached. She didn't want to go to no hospital. She didn't want no doctor. She told the doctor one day, Miss Skinner had the doctor to call and talk to her. She talked to him just as nice, and he said he thought he ought to come out here to see her. I don't need you. When I need you, I call you. You know, look. She never did let nobody come to see her. But she really got off before they got her there.
She was a Norvell.
She started to pace in that morning about 10 o'clock. Went to breathing real hard. And I knew then she wouldn't be here much longer. I didn't want to go in no hospital.
That was New Year's Day, wasn't it?
Sure was. New Year's Day.
I know she appreciated all you did for her. We sure did.
This door, and recalling that in some of the correspondence from 1866, there's evidently, they're talking about repairing some of the damage that was done in their absence when the Smiths were in Valdosta, damage done to the house, and there's mention of a door being split in two. And just noticing that this door here, the panels are different. This panel is different from this panel here. And you can see the difference also on this side too. So I'm wondering if this might have been Lizzie's room. She described it as being a hole of a room, and this being the smallest room and the room without a fireplace, and the room with a door that might have been damaged. Maybe this, you could call this Lizzie's room, but of course we may never know for sure.
A lot of furniture up there.
You say that it's not likely that anything's in the attic now that was moved up.
Yeah, I don't
They just
think so.
moved stuff down, not up. Did they go up there much in that attic?
No, they don't know.
And you say again, you only went up there once or twice?
That's all. That's since she been gone.
Even though you heard stuff running around over your head, you didn't want to go
No,
up
I
there?
didn't go up there. I knew what it was, so it didn't bother me. It's either squirrels or rats.
Did they try to hide that doorway to the attic and so on? You used to have a drape-like thing over it, kind of like it was secret and people weren't supposed to know it was there or something like that?
No, they didn't have a draper over it, did they?
Wasn't there a drape over that door?
No, it's one
Attic
over the
door.
window.
The window?
The drape is over the window. And it had a cornice board up there. Mr. Skinner took it down because he couldn't open the door with it down. He always wondered why they fixed it like that. I said, well, one thing, they didn't never go up there.
Yeah, well, that's I guess what I was talking about. It seemed like it served as a kind of a block.
Yeah, you couldn't open the door when the cornice board was up there.
Okay.
You're talking about the barns back there. What you know? Have you been back up in the barn?
I went up in there a year or two ago when your brother was here from Arkansas. His wife got some dining room chairs from up in there. He's been up there for 50 years, I guess. She was gonna have them done over for a dining room. So I saw a lot of different furniture up there, and that's the first time I'd ever been up there.
So you didn't see anything up there you recognized, or you don't remember any comings and
No.
goings from the barn in terms of putting stuff up there or taking it
No,
in?
nothing. If they brought anything out of here, they put it up there, but they didn't bring anything here because this was already running over. But I imagine that had been up there for years and years before they came here. I don't even remember what else was up there, but I do remember those chairs. They had backs kind of like that rocker in there, with the spokes, things in it. And she was gonna have them did over. So,
Well, Mamie, we sure thank you.
it's a lot of stuff is still up around that could be used in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you reckon it ever will?
Well, it's too old to be used, I think.
That's what I know. It costs too much to get it to where you could use it. It's gonna throw it away. Ain't no one else to do with it.
So both Arthur and Mary, they just didn't throw anything away.
Didn't throw anything away.
And yet the house was full when they so it just got fuller and fuller, huh?
Full and full.
That's good. Well, we thank you for going around it with us and helping us make this tape. We're gonna go up in the attic and leave you in peace.
Oh, okay.
Thanks a lot.
No, I may not try to go up those steps, and I don't think there's nothing I can say anything about up there, no
Okay.
way.
Well,
I
if
wish
you
I was able, I'd like to go up there and look around, though.
We can help you.
Because it's been a lot of changes since I was up there, I'm sure.
well, we can help you up if you'd like to see it.
If you want to go.
Let's go.
You got anything to hold it?
Yeah, there's one.
We can hold on to you.
Let's take a chance. I'd like you to see what's up there.
I'll go right behind you. Oh, yeah. You see?
Where in the world did you get all that stuff in the dining room? I don't miss anything.
So you said this is about the second time you've been up here?
Yeah,
Second time you've been up here.
it's a little different.
Little different, little
But
cool.
when I was up here, all this was just loaded.
Yeah. Well, that's where all the stuff came from, in the dining room. Because most of the books and papers
It was right along with
were in this area here, which is why
Mhm.
these are books and papers that
Yeah.
pretty much extras are in worse condition, and I put them back pretty much where they were found in this general area.
Well, this thing looks familiar.
What's that?
That
We
looks
call
right.
them churns.
Yeah.
Got to churn the milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, I used to get some out of churning. You had to do like this to the butter roll. And if the milk was cold, it took it a long time to we slip and heat water and pour it to warm it up so it would rise quicker.
You didn't do any of that here, though, did you?
Oh no,
No.
that day was over.
Back in Alpharetta days?
And that's all we had to live on was milk and bread and things that we raised ourselves. Meat, vegetables. If we didn't have enough that we raised ourselves, we didn't have any. So we didn't have anything, buy anything with.
Does your family go back in Alpharetta, but way back as far as you can remember? Or have they always been from Alpharetta, or that area?
Yeah, and what they used to call, some of them were raised up in Cumming, Georgia years ago. And up around Beaufort,
What was your maiden name?
Strickland.
Strickland. And your married name was Cotton, Mamie Cotton. I don't think we
No, I
got
married the first time, Grogan.
Grogan. Okay. When did it become Cotton?
Oh, about 25 years ago.
25. I don't think we got that on tape
Yeah,
originally.
we got it now.
You get your full name on this tape.
Yeah, we got it now.
Why don't you take a look around, see if you see anything that you might recognize?
Why did he bring him up here?
I think we made.
In the way?
I think just a matter of running out of room in the dining room. 'Cause there's
Oh, yeah, that
so
is
many
the
books
dining
in
room.
there.
You must have had something stacked in them one time.
I think the cane is just getting a little old.
I was gonna say, they used to wasn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, you just sit in
Or
them
maybe I just
sometimes.
didn't notice it.
You sit in them sometimes, and they just
Yeah,
you hear
that's
them
what
pop
it is.
underneath you. They're just getting kind of brittle.
Nice chairs.
Recognize anything else? Nothing else was ever downstairs like
No, I
these
don't think so.
toys.
No, nothing less. She used to have some of these downstairs, but I don't see any of them now.
And you never saw them bring anything up here. So pretty much what what's up here has been up here
Yeah,
since
it's
you
been
can...
up here. Yeah, up here. Such as these picture frames, I imagine she had them come up here such as this and have them fixed. Don't seem like there's something down there look kind of like that, don't it?
Yeah. Do you remember any stories about the guns that are up here?
Mm-mm. Sure don't.
Did they play musical instruments at all, you know, in the Smiths? Because there's several. There's violins and a bugle
Yeah,
and
maybe.
clarinet.
It looks like they might have, don't it? Yeah, no big, isn't it? Is that what that is?
Bedstead.
Oh, somebody would fix that up, wouldn't they?
Yep, that's a bedstead. They ever use this wicker furniture like stuff like this?
No.
Never bring that downstairs, just lift it up here.
It's not been down there.
These pokers and things like this, you never seen them been used
No,
downstairs.
they haven't been down there.
There's a little old toy stove over there the little girl was using.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we used to have to iron with. Put them on a stove or somewhere and heat it and then about pushing that heavy thing all day.
They never came up and brought any of that stuff downstairs. You never seen this stuff, in other words.
No. She never. Such as that bring a lot of money, don't it?
Don't it?
I saw one up here in the antique shop the other day, sort of like that. Big price on it.
And there'd be a bigger price on that one.
Yeah, 'cause that was much better.
I'm not sure if this is like the trimming on the curtains downstairs or not, but this, we've been told that this the material of the trimming of the downstairs curtains was found up here, and it might be worthwhile to compare and see if this is the same kind of stuff. I don't know if it is or not.
Look like it might be, don't it? I mean, she got them made on a board down there, don't she?
Any of these bathtubs were downstairs at all? These metal bathtubs back here? Do you remember seeing them downstairs at all?
It's called a hip bathtub. You sat down into your hips.
Is that called a zitz bath or what?
Hip bathtub's what they call them.
Anything else? They did something like that. We used to use wash tubs, wash clothes in.
They never, these trunks over here, they all these trunks. You never see anything come into or out of them, or did they bring those trucks up from Savannah, or?
They could have brought some. Yeah.
Now that I'm on camera, I can do There's a hinge here. There's a hinge.
They never talked about these guns. See up there here?
What was up here? Look like he'd had such as that labor, don't it? I
Don't.
mean, names on him.
Well, if he knew, maybe he didn't know. Who's
Yeah, that's true, man. He might not know who he was.
Mamie,
Because I met him back when he was a boy.
Arthur and I have decided probably a lot of this stuff that Arthur didn't know about it or whose it belonged to
No,
or
I
anything.
don't imagine he did.
That, since there was such a gap there between 1950 and 1940, that he didn't know Lizzie that well or they didn't talk about it that much, so that a lot of this stuff, Arthur himself didn't know what it was or where it came from.
Yeah, because they seem like they were secret people. Kept everything to themselves.
Yep.
Do you remember when the bank people came here to look for stuff for the they were trying to settle that dispute between South Carolina and Georgia.
Mhm.
They came up here looking for stuff. Do you know how much time they spent up here looking around? Did they
Well, they spent 2-3 days.
2 or 3 days up here
Mhm.
looking for papers? And they-
Yeah, and then the ones that they got, they got them at the bank, didn't they? I mean, they brought them back.
They brought them back.
Brought 'em back.
At least as far as we know, they did.
Yeah, they brought them back, but I don't know what Mr. Skinner you done with them because they used to be up there in the bedroom.
They've been the ones I've been going through.
Oh, they are.
10 boxes. But I just wondered the procedure, if they found most of them up here, those papers,
Yeah.
or did they find some downstairs?
No, they found them all up here.
In trunks and stuff, or do you know?
I don't know what they found them in, but that's where they worked up here.
That Barnwell truck, though, was in that.
The Edward Barnwell trunk is in the porch closet on the east side, northeast side. But,
That was the cousin of them.
yeah. Did you ever know Edward Barnwell?
Oh, yeah, he came up here.
He came up here?
When they first married, he didn't live too long after they got married.
He died in 1951.
Any of this stuff that you used to use when you were a girl, stuff like it? Naughty, naughty?
No, I never was that smart.
This is a nitty
My
naughty.
mother used to use it, but I
Your mama used a nitty naughty?
And quilting frames. I don't see any right here, but I used to quilt.
You used to quilt, right?
Look. Quilts is so expensive now.
Oh, ain't they?
We used to do quiltings. Women would get together and quilt all day long. Well, here's your pipe. If you want to do some smoking. Them trunks has got the women's clothes in them if they wore back in them days.
I do want to get this box downstairs because there have evidence that suggests that there's one more inventory possibly in here. So this box will be removed. Or it's got just paper in it.
Okay.
Old wallet.
Yeah,
I found a wallet like that. It's not too different from that. And it doesn't look that old. It's old, but I found a diary in there from 1804.
I don't think anybody ever threw anything away.
No,
Well,
don't look like
I
it.
think it's got that appearance, but somebody must have thrown something away at some time, because there are some
Don't look
things
like
that
it.
are missing.
Well, on that note, I suppose we shall cut this tape then.
This don't look too old. Put that on the wall and hang it.
Yeah, you know, I found little buttons I found out in the ground somewhere.
My daddy used to make baskets.
Yeah.
Something like this one. They have the big things.
Where'd he get the stuff to make it?
Went out in the woods and cut what they call white oak
Mhm.
and split it up and carved it out and made what they call splits.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess they call them that now, but he'd make the splits, different sizes. Make the baskets, cotton baskets, you know, back there. People put the cotton, pick cotton in, put it in the baskets. Clothes baskets, clothes hampers. Fishing baskets, you know, people used to make baskets and put them in the creek and catch fish. Didn't have to wait to get a hook. You just put the basket in there and then catch it in there.
That's when creeks had fish in them. Arthur, is there anything else you want to say to anybody watching this tape?
Here is one of the last letters from Henry Merrill. Almost illegible. 1882.
Well, let me have it.
Well, I've offered it to you, but you didn't want it because it smelled so bad.
On that note, and in the attic.
I think y'all don't remember when they wore shoes and button them upside like that.
I can't say I do.
They're going back to that.
Had a shoe button up, but you pull the button.
Did they ever put a hammock out on the front porch like this?
No.
No? Because they got hooks out on the front porch.
Yeah,
This
they
is
must
a-
have had them out there.
This is a hammock, and it probably was out there.
But she would never do that. No. She will save it.
That right to your right there, hanging, there's a buggy whip, hanging that right.
Mhm.
See there?
I remember that.
That must be Lizzie's buggy whip. Do you remember the buggy in the garage? Was there ever a buggy out there that you know of?
I don't remember one being out there. Well, that's where she kept it though.
Because there's a drawing downstairs that I think Arthur did, and it looks just like what the garage is now, and except of a car, there's a buggy sitting there.
Mm-hmm. There's another one of them old lamps. See, you put the kerosene in it. It don't look so old. Don't look like it's been here too long.
There's a bunch of baskets. You want to open up a trunk at all?
Go.
I think this trunk here's got some straw work. Lots of baskets here. And these have been kept inside, so they're probably in much better shape, not so dusty. But the Smith sisters used to do a lot of weaving of hats themselves. They would make hats, and they got their brother Willie to get some palmetto. They were always after him to bring up some palmetto, send them some palmetto during the war, and they would make these hats. I don't know if they made these hats or not, but
they made hats.
But they did make hats, and
Do you know that that's the staple of an old Southern song? to the tune of Bonnie Blue Flag. The girl says, I envy not the northern girl, her robes of beauty rare. Even though my dress is homespun, my hat's palmetto too. So now you know what southern girls for southern rights will do. Making a palmetto hat was a thing southern girls wanted to do.
Well, they did it. That's some game. It's backgammon.
Well, people made nearly everything they want back then.
It's called A History of England, it is, but it's really a backgammon game, you see. History of England, Volume 1 and 2. But we have letters from after the war, in fact, where they describe Aunt Bet and Archibald playing backgammon. And I don't know if it was in the parlor or what. But anyway, that's the backgammon set.
Well, Mr. Smith used to live in England, didn't he? Didn't he live in England?
He lived in Paris.
Paris.
Yeah, that's Arthur Smith studied in Paris.
He went to Paris to study art. And Mamie, he had a, he kind of fell in love with a French girl over there too. And may have married her, but he didn't, he decided not to. What if he'd married that French girl and brought her
I'm not
back?
sure it was a French girl. I think it was she had a French name, but I don't think she was French. What would have happened, yeah?
Well, what didn't they? Somebody said that they had a contract between them three to not, for one not to marry long as the other one I was leaving.
That's what we've heard, too.
And I told him, well, he lived up to it, but he didn't live long afterwards, did
Yeah.
he?
No, it was the next year.
What?
She died in 1939. He was married in 1940.
Mm-hmm. So that must have been he must have been waiting on that.
They were a very close family.
Now, who had the contract? Now, spell that out.
I don't know.
They said it, you know, there was agreement between them, the three.
Archibald?
Not to marry unless, as long as all three of them was living.
Okay, that would mean Dr. Archibald and Maynard and Arthur?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and say.
As soon as she died, he married her, Mr. Archibald. He didn't get married.
The way I remember it, and of course, I don't know, but the way Dad has told it is that Arthur and possibly Dr. Archibald promised their father that as long as Maynard was unmarried, that they would not marry. That's the way I understood it. And of course,
And
it
they
might
would
all
take-
be wrong.
They would take care of her because I think she never was away from Mrs. Smith, I don't think.
Yeah, it was a real close family, and I guess they just stayed that
He
way.
was stuck right there.
So she died in 1939, and then Arthur married the next year. Dr. Archibald died in 1947. But he was the oldest of the three.
Now, the other old chairs, they're kind of like that, and then Miss Smith did, huh?
Well, we're about to run
On
out of
that
tape.
note,
We're about to
too
run
many
out of
notes.
tape. Let's have Arthur, you shake Mamie's hand or something here. Let's end it.
How about giving her a hug here?
Let's give her a hug.